Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our weekly Tech Talk. We are coming in from the studio this week, and today's subject is KROOM and systems integration. And with us today, we have our Chief Science Officer, Dr. Ahmad Moradi, PhD in AI, Symbolic AI, and our guest, Stephen Remondini, the Chief Technology Officer of VCard Global Inc., based out of Deerfield Beach, Florida. So before I hand over to our speakers, we want to know what is system integration. Well, system integration is defined in engineering as the process of bringing together the component subsystems into one system and ensuring that the subsystems function together as a system. And in information technology as the process of linking together different computing systems and software applications physically or functionally to act as a coordinated whole. The system integrator integrates discrete systems utilizing a variety of techniques such as computer networking, enterprise application, integration, business process management, or manual programming. System integration involves integrating existing, often disparate systems in such a way that focuses on increasing value to the customer. Example, improved product quality and performance, while at the same time providing value to the company. Example, reducing operational costs and improving response time. In the modern world connected by internet, the role of system integration is important. More and more systems are designed to connect both within the system under construction and to systems that are already deployed. With that, I hand over to Dr. Ahmad Moradi. Over to you.
Hey everyone, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here with all of our colleagues. And I'd like to take this opportunity, first of all, and talk about a little bit about our KROOM again, and the position of the destination that we are taking our audience and our subscribers is based on the fact that what can you do with KROOM and how this integration can create value added benefits. They can bring a new streams of opportunities, integration, productivity, efficiencies, and so forth together. With that in mind, KROOM that we are right now being broadcasted and you're observing for the newsroom also has the ability for the subscribers that they participate integrate to the services. So today we have a guest that we invited from United States, Mr. Steve Remondini, who is a catalyst and who's been a CTO for many decades with a great resume of technology innovation. And personally, I have had the great pleasure of working with him for the last 2 decades in various areas and environment. So more importantly, it is generally for us an honor to have him as a colleague. And today we wanted to talk about a subject that we feel that is going to become a very good product that adds value to our KROOM service and strategies for the readers, for the viewers, for the brands and the sponsors. So with that in mind, we'd like to introduce you to Mr. Steve Remondini and his company called VCard Global. With that in mind, Steve, back to you.
Ahmed, thank you very much. Vijay, thank you for having me. It's an honor to get back with you guys and hook up with you guys again and look forward to what we can do in the near future. One of the biggest issues over, like Ahmed said, he and I have known each other for over a couple of decades now. One of the biggest issues that we always grapple with is all of what we call omni-channel. The omni-channel is all of your social media. It's all of your interconnectivity with WhatsApp and LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram and all these things. And how do you maintain your brand? How do you maintain communications with the customers? You know, what's the middleware, if we can use that term, that helps keep it all connected? And that's kind of the reason that vCard Global was put together, is a common platform, multilingual, being able to connect all of these things together and basically give you your brand in your hand that you can monetize, that you can adjust as it needs to be adjusted. And so let's jump into that a little bit and talk a little bit about how it was originally designed and how the integration works. Next slide, please. So the omni-channel is overload. Right now you've got people who actually manage this very well at the mid to larger company levels around the world actually have an 89% more retention rate with their customers. So being able to balance this information and being able to have a solution that's convenient enough to use, that you don't have to constantly rework it, you don't have to constantly relearn how it works, but you have the connection capability in there that provides you with your integration into your front end and your back end. So if you already got websites that you are already working and running your company, this is a great tool to help put that website in the hand of all of your customers. That's what a vCard does. It also gives you the ability to make API calls, which are application programmer interface calls. This is where one system will actually call another system to get it done. So let me give you a quick example. If I've got a front end website that everybody's used to coming in and logging into and getting information, or have a landing page for products and services, I can now take that via HTML or other mechanisms and make a call to the vCard system and create somebody's vCard, create their, gather all their information from a form, pass that information over to the vCard system, and the vCard system will automatically build a card, give them a welcome message, send that card back to that person that logged into the front end of your website, and now gives them the ability to go and download the app from the App Store. And all of a sudden, now they've got that entire front end website, point of sale, information gathering thing right on their cell phone. The other cool thing about the vCard is two sides to it is very unique. One, it is one of the only apps in the world that'll actually load your social media. It'll load up your Instagram, it'll load up your Facebook or your LinkedIn. It'll import an embedded link to your vCard. It'll give you a chance to edit that message after meeting that customer for the first time before you hit it send, and then it'll shut down that application. So at its core primary function, it is to pass out your vCard, to get your information out in front of your new clients and your new customers. And at any single time that you change the information on that, when that customer looks at that vCard, that information is immediately available. And then the second very unique thing about this system is privacy. Next slide, please. So the multi-channel aggregation and the fully customizable technology allows you to support these initiatives. We don't have paper business cards anymore. We don't have brochures that we're laying out, leaving at events. We now have the ability to do some green sustainabilities along with the usage of this product, but it also gives you the opportunity to select your private information. So in every time that you build a vCard, you can put in your private address, put in your private telephone number, and mark that as being private technology. Therefore, on the front end or on the app side, if you don't want somebody to see that information, you simply, and it's marked private, the only way somebody can get to that information is if you, the user, actually move somebody into a privacy group. And at that point in time, the privacy information becomes available. The entire system, all of your data and user information is encrypted on the database, and it is a token-based database system that allows you to have the credentials that only you can get into it. So you have a very good way of maintaining that information and deciding what people can and cannot see, and then adjusting it literally every hour of every day if you want to. Next slide, please. So just to kind of review a little bit of some of the features, it is GDPR compliant. The server is secure with data encryption. So the database is actually encrypted. Once the token is validated for credentials, the data is then moved into a segment of memory on the server, which is now unencrypted. That allows you to change it on the fly very, very quickly, and for everybody to see that change. And so it has a redundant architecture. Of course, we do the normal, database architecture thing where we back it up in multiple areas around the world. The database that we use is non-SQL, so there's no hash lists or anything like that that can be hacked. And the user, again, gets to designate what pieces of information are private and what pieces of information are public. And the way that you can build this card is it's very scalable. You have multiple pages and design that you can use. It's unlimited in the number of changes, and it's unlimited in the number of times that you can pass this card out. So we have people around the world, some of them have 50, 60 page V cards, and they have a page dedicated to a product or a service. So it's fully customizable, real time. And you have the analytics that then back that up. Some of the card analytics are the number of times your card's been viewed, what pages on the cards people go to mostly, kind of the normal stuff that you'd see on a website. But one of the cool things is, if I was to pass my card out to Ahmed Maradi, and Ahmed Maradi would then pass it out, let's say to VJ, I would get notification that Ahmed did that. So part of my SEO, part of my tracking, part of where I see my analytics is tracking where my card's done and third parties who have passed it out. All of these analytics are things that we wrote specifically to handle this type of data and bring it back to you. So you get the read receipts, you get the people that open the cards, that have saved the card and has actually passed it on. And what's really nice about this is every single page on your card is a web page by definition. Therefore, it is susceptible to analytics and SEO and any other types of marketing or funnels that you put together. You can literally have multiple funnels on one single card. So the analytics and the SEO optimization, the fully customizable capability and the scalability of this system is an integral part of a tool that ties your front-end services to your back-end services and allows you to maintain that contact and information capabilities to your client base and any new clients or events that you go to. It's a natural fit for what we've been doing over the last 2 decades. It's a natural fit in the NetStairs scheme of being able to integrate front ends to middle ends to back end, or middleware to back ends, and maintaining that. I guess a good way to say it is that harmony between data sets from one side to the other. Next screen, please. So here's some just kind of the investigations that you can do, some of the customizable solutions on a multi-page design. Like I said, it's totally unlimited. You have QR codes that you can just simply put on your desktop and scan, and everybody gets your card. Any change that you do to that card, any hour of the day, is immediately viewable by any of the customers or people that you've passed it out. So this is kind of the design. We can do full-blown streaming, anything streaming to a block. We can put a block in there. We have an HTML block with all of your HTML, so building avatars or building customized scripts is readily available on the card for you to do. And then we have 192 plus some odd APIs that can be used to integrate as a tool to any existing websites that are out there. So next slide, please. So this is a little quick overview on some of the things that we have available. These are a couple of the other players out there that do virtual business cards. Most of them are website based or URL based. You don't have control over your data. You don't have control over the privacy information. The information's actually on somebody's database rather than in a segmented portion like the way that vCard has it right now. Again, they don't have the ability to build a funnel for every single page or to search every single page in an SEO analysis type scheme. And of course, the piece that we really like about this is we are staying in contact right now. The app will actually run on 10 different languages. So if you have a Spanish or a Portuguese keyboard loaded on your phone, all the buttons and everything on the app will come up in that language. And this is a way of bridging the gap and maintaining our communication and our information around the world. And there should be no reason that as human beings, as we evolve through this wonderful AI and capabilities of systems like Letstream's integration, that we can't stay in touch with these people, regardless of where we are in the world, regardless of the time frame, regardless of the language, and be able to make sure everybody has up-to-date information every single time they use the card. So that's a little bit about vCard. That's a little bit about how the integration and everything works. I'm really excited about working with Letstream and with VJ and with Ahmed going forward, making sure that we can bring this tool set and this integration to people worldwide. So very much.
Thank you so much, Steve, for overview. It's extremely informative. I wanted to ask a few questions.
Sure.
Maybe we can go back to slide number 2, if it's okay. A couple of things that you said, which is for the purpose of educating the audience. API stands for Application Programming Interface.
Correct.
When our esteemed colleague in here talks about 192 API, is referencing that there has been over 1 million lines of code built into these pages that you see. So behind the scene, there is a years of R&D, research, market analytic, and so forth, because there has been one thing. When we socialize, especially now post-COVID, because we are in remote world and we are in virtual world and on a hybrid world, right? And physical world. So these are the worlds that right now we are working, not to mention the metaverses. A continuity of relationship and tracking the people that you work with becomes paramount. Because in the past, just like the old days, right? We would walk in and hand over a business card to somebody, and they would look at the front and the back and they put it in their pocket, but then there is no identifier. Am I right?
No, that's exactly right. And in fact, 83% of all paper business cards passed out, okay, in today's world, 7 days later are either lost or thrown away in the trash within 7 days. And if you think about the amount of money that you actually paid for that business card, anywhere between $150, $500 for 1,000, 1,500 cards, you might, if you change your telephone number, you're changing your cards. You're throwing all the unused cards away. So the amount of paper that it generates in the trash was huge. It was a multi-billion-dollar industry here just in the United States alone. And yet your return on investment is less than 2%. So it doesn't make any sense to have that kind of tool to help run your business and stay in contact with your clients when you've got something like a virtual business card or a V card that once you change the telephone number, all your clients have it for every event that you've ever been to and everybody that has your card, and they get it instantly.
Which makes it extremely advantageous because, as you just mentioned, when you go to the events or the trade shows, and we all have done that in our career, and we start collecting those business cards and they stack up after a few days, like you just mentioned, we either completely forget about them or we have other priorities in our life because we are being bombarded with information. So the traditional way of looking at business card and communication really has been transformed into a way of communications. And communications, when it gets connected to a KROOM, that KROOM gives you additional abilities that now you can follow, you can be engaging, you can interact, and you can build your multi-channel platforms with the marketing. And then, as Steve mentioned, a couple of other things that I like to pass along because we are a very security-minded organization as a whole, and we always value privacy and security. You mentioned something about tokenization. Can you expand on that a little bit for us?
Yes, what a token is when you and as Dr. Murati knows, with me and our time together, I did a lot of architectural and system designs for our federal government in my early years, in my youth. And one of the things that we found out is that if you're using a SQL database that has an indexing table, it's very easy for somebody to get into that indexing table and find bits and pieces of data and begin to piece it together so that they can get a data set that is actually good information. You know, data is no good to anybody unless it's organized in a fashion that's informational or provides you with a piece of information. So what you do with a token-based system is you encrypt the database. We have a 26-digit encryption key for all the data. We keep all of the card data in what's called a container and keep it encrypted on a non-SQL database. So when you go in with tokenization, it has to compare your credentials, and then the system actually generates a new token every single time that you log into the system. It's the same way with using the application programmer interface. You can be part of gathering information, making calls to the system, but every time you log in, it generates a new token to decrypt the data that you can now manipulate, add and delete and adjust any way that you want. And then your token on the front end allows you to get to that container that we've moved into memory. So we do all of the edits out of server memory. In blocks of memory. This is an old, I don't know if you guys remember, a system called Citrix Systems many years ago. This is a technique that they used where they took, you know, a system and were able to represent a desktop out in the field with a 2-channel relay on it, where it'd send on one channel, receive on the other channel, and just update pieces of the screen. It was very fast, very efficient, took over the marketplace. Citrix is a billion-dollar company today. And that was kind of the first advent of a token-based system using memory versus encrypted data on a database to coincide together. And so that's what tokenization does for us. It's a very secure way. It's now part of your GDPR compliance out of Europe. These token-based systems are much more difficult for people to get in and get any usable information out of.
So would you say that session-based tokenization is the way to go to create privacy and security for the incidents and mitigate third-party malwares and you know, people, what we call bad actors, that they try to take over the customers or a private client's data? Is that some good assumption to make on this?
I would say that's an excellent assumption. I mean, you just heard about where one of the casinos out in Vegas got hacked, and the guys came in and shut down all the
Caesar, yeah,
exactly. And they use this is what ransomware does. It says, let me get your data, let me make that data unavailable to your users, and then charge you for me putting it back. Okay. Right. Well, now somebody can actually, if they do get into the system, which is extremely difficult to do because there's no hash tables, there's no indexing, there's no way to open up a port and get to that data. But if they get to the data without a token, it's totally useless information. It's totally encrypted. And so they get a bunch of stuff. They think they've shut the database down, but they actually hasn't, because it's redundant in 4 or 5 other servers around the world. And one server just copies it back to the other server, and tokens come live for activation, and all the data is right there. So there's no way for ransomware to really get in. Well, I won't say no way, because quantum computing, everything in today's world is changing so fastly. So, but it makes it extremely difficult to get any usable information to try and ransom back to the owner.
Great, thank you. I'd like to ask a couple of other questions, Steve, about the subject of vCard. In your experience, based on the work that you have done, obviously small businesses, individuals, you know, colleagues and so forth, obviously, when they spend their budget, so to speak, to print a new business card, this can become a very vital, effective way to replace that budget. Okay, first of all, is that the right assumption to make?
That is the correct assumption. It also reduces your usage of printing out brochures.
Right.
It also reduces your obviously buying new business cards over and over for employees and
Right.
whether they're used or not.
Right.
So, and then it drastically, reduces the amount of paper that is thrown away in the garbage, every single day, every single year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the reasons we wanted to go this way, because information was getting very close to the point that if I had a new telephone number and I'm a small business or a mom and pop shop, as they would say, I want to stay in touch. Staying in touch with my customers when there's changes is absolutely paramount to making that business run, and making that business viable from day to day, month to month. So being able to have this platform allows a lot of our members to add pages as they have new product, change their address and contact information. And you got to kind of think of it from the other side, from the user side. I've got your V card now, Ahmed, and I don't have your paper business card because I lost it. Yep. But I can go to the contact and push on the link for your V card, and I can text you, I can email you, I can have a chat with you, I can call you with a single push of a button.
Which is wonderful. Now, let's take that from a individual and SMB to the enterprise for the corporate accounts and so forth, where we are mostly involved with the brands, for instance.
Yes.
In the use of branding case, for instance, let's say a client wants to connect its customers directly to itself. Can you give a little explanation of how vCard can help us? Because ultimately we bring them into a destination like KROOM. But we believe vCard, it becomes the point of inception that they can connect. And from there, they can create the collaboration and communication. So we'd like to hear a little bit about the use cases within the enterprise, if you could expand on it, if you will.
Yeah, it's really, nowadays, it's, as you know, it's about managing your brand presence. Okay. Right. Now, let's go back many years. This will tell you how old we all are. Okay. Back in the American Express days when they came out, they said membership had its privileges. That's a brand statement. Okay. Right. They built their services around that brand. They built their, way of communicating with people. That was kind of their mainstay.
Yes.
But that brand has changed pretty dramatically today. Mm-hmm. Okay. You don't really see a lot of membership has its privileges type branding going on with that company. They've changed. Right. So as consumers get used to a brand and as a message, evolving that brand, evolving that message, evolving those offers, evolving specials for the week, let's take a real estate example. A real estate has a V card for a house showing. They put out an RSVP list via the V card. Everybody signs up that's coming to that house opening. Okay. And if people drive by and on the curb, there's a sign with a QR code on it. They snap the QR code. They immediately get the V card for the house. They can see the interior house, 360 views. They can schedule a meeting with the realtor or broker at the time. This is how you manage that brand that's constantly changing, that is available this week, won't be available next week, or evolves into another type of offering.
So the dynamics of change that is occurring every day in our daily lives, where in a business card that is static, it no longer becomes a value in the digital economy. Is that something good to say to the audience?
That's exactly right. As soon as you pass that card out, you're outdated with current information within the first 7 days.
So with that in mind, what I like to do is show you a little bit of our screen share on my side that gives you a little ability to understand when we are talking about connecting the inside a room, what it means and how it works. So with that in mind, take a look at my screen share right now, and you will see that in this scenario that we are in, the KROOM is in the back. It's available with all of its features and capabilities. And more importantly, vCard is integrated in here now. So now you can simply go to the home, you can go to the features, you can download the app. And the idea for us is to integrate the V card inside the rooms and add a button in here for you that you can always use. And then with that service integration, now you can really stay always on the top. You follows you where you go. You can meet inside the room with the clients in real time. So by just sending a click to a connection, and your privacy is maintained, because as we, for instance, right now taking a company public in United States, we have learned, for instance, using WhatsApp by Security Exchange Commission has caused a $579 million penalty for not meeting the compliance. So compliance, privacy, security for the Web 3.0 has become the new mantra. And every nation is taking its own initiative. As we work in Africa, in Latin America, in different parts of the world, we are beginning to experience the same thing, that people generally want to do commerce. Commerce is the foundation of our business, right? So when you bring KROOM, you bring the real-time interaction together. When you bring the V card together, you bring the following and the lead management, the omni-channel management, and this kind that it makes the integration seamless. So now for you, you no longer have to worry about where to find information, how to find information, how to connect and update your social media sites. All of these things have become inclusive. And for a nominal cost that you pay for it, it really becomes that, because now your justification of this is replacement of a cost value. And the value is, if I am spending the same amount of dollar and I'm getting higher value, then I should really consider that as an option, or at least give it a try to see how it works. And that is why KROOM for premium account users are designed for integration, like vCard, that it brings you that value-added services and brings you the capability of both mobility, interactivity, communication with your brand, and then also at the same time read your news from a trusted source that you have been with for the last 70 years. So that is the general idea that we wanted to share in this presentation with you. We want to thank you for attending our program. If there are any comments, Mr. Vijay, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmad Moradi and Stephen Rimondini. That was very insightful, very useful integration in KROOM. And I believe it will be very good for all of our clients, potential clients, SMEs, SMBs in these parts of the world to experience vCard. And thank you very much. I think we have come to the end of our show. Thank you very much, everyone. See you all next week.
And be safe, be well, be happy, like always our Patrick, our guest says.
Stay positive.
Stay positive.
There you go. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
Thank you for Pleasure to have you. Cheers.